that 20,000 people is, 20,000 troops is merely a scare tactic. 20,000 troops concentrated on one small burg certainly would cause a serious amount of damage, but 20,000 troops intended to garrison the United States is an absurdity.
When they own the media, it becomes a bigger issue, as
correct.
you know.
They're trying to generate fear with it.
It's all fear.
Yeah.
All fear, absolutely, and the destruction of posse comitatus finally, and once and for all. The issue of 20,000 troops is the number of Obama and his handlers. Their new surge into Afghanistan. They're going to push another 20,000 over there. These
people just don't learn from history. Afghanistan has destroyed the British Empire. People barely got out alive out of hundreds of thousands that kept attacking them.
Correct. I remember one retreat from Kabul. I think every last man except one, they let one go, I think, to tell the story.
Correct, and that was like 45,000 dead over the course of that particular campaign.
Correct. Yeah. They let one go to tell the story.
Those were British subjects, though, and a subject is another word meaning, in essence, an object, a slave. Correct. And theoretically, the citizens of the United States are not subjects, but nonetheless, we find ourselves repeating the same old problems of empire.
Always. Be right back in just a minute with Clif. Okay, back with Clif from halfpasthuman.com. I urge you to stop by there and subscribe if you can. It's absolutely fascinating reading. I usually read them twice because there's so much there.
They have a tendency to get a bit dense, yeah.
It's a great ride, whatever you want to call it. The issue of financial collapse, which you and George called literally to the day, October 7th, 8th, when it all began to overtly and obviously to the world go over the abyss, into the ether, as it were. You guys nailed that one. We're looking, I guess, as you pointed out back then, to things going on into early February in terms of their intensity. I'm wondering if that's changed, and I'm also wondering what interpolation you may derive from the data that may point to the installation of King Obama.
Actually, we had initially figured it would go in until March, and that has shortened up. And so the current level of intensity of the emotional release language, most of it focused on economic, but now we're getting this little wave of military thrown in, will continue to about February 14th. As far as the installation of Obama and his crew, we can essentially say, well, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
You got it.
Because of who they're bringing in there. However, the accuracy of the forecast that the politicos had made about this, quote, test, from our data seems to be fairly on spot.
Elaborate, if you would.
Correct. Well, it's going to show up around the 22nd, we think. The 22nd, we have a little... we've been in this release language drop at a fairly even pace, if you will, fairly same group of intensity figures and so on, that gave us almost a nice ramp-like chart for a while. But it changed, and we're going to have a little stair-step business hit us around the 22nd, 23rd, and on those particular days, we're going to have a little drop in release language, so there will be some kind of a small event or a set of circumstances that get everybody talking real quickly.
In December.
In January, sorry.
So you are talking right after the inauguration?
Just right afterward. The main break comes on January 26th, but basically from the 22nd through to the 26th, there's these little stair steps in our data that show this kind of release tension, release tension, release tension. I wouldn't want to characterize it by saying it was going to be like a particular event in the past, because we don't know that the flavor is going to be the same, and we would unfortunately give that impression. So trying to describe it is very difficult, because I can't say, for instance, it's going to be the day that the week that Castro took over from Batista. Okay, it's not going to be like that, but it may share some of the same characteristics in terms of emotional tension here in the United States. Now, so some kind of event is certainly going to occur We expect it'll be very visible to us on the morning of the 23rd, cause everybody here to talk about it for a day, and then we're going to go into a day of building tension over the course of the 24th that will get us sort of all kind of wondering how we're going to react to it, what's going to happen. Then further things will occur late on the 24th and then the 25th, and then we're going to go into a rather steep drop, an acceleration in release language that runs from the 26th of January all the way through to the February 14th, and then we go into a building tension that lasts for a number of weeks.
Now, we remember that Colin Powell said that there will be a, quote, challenge to President Obama on I think he said the 21st or the 22nd.
Right. And it's like, boy, they sure know. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and these people actually saying these things in public, it's rather amusing to watch. They're either stupid, which I don't think, or they don't give a damn and they're just telling us. I mean, it's bizarre.
There may be some other motivation there as well, in the sense that it's awful hard to keep giant conspiracies secret. And thus we have all the huge amount of information that you yourself have participated in spreading throughout the planet about all of these giant conspiracies that are all around us. It's not that they're secret, it's that so many people are in denial of their meaning on their daily life. So it may well be the case that they know something, and they also are, for their own purposes, releasing certain amounts of that information, either in harmonization or in opposition to the flow of that main event. So in other words, they may well want to have specific warnings out there for specific times, and they don't really care so much if the general populace gets it, because so many people are going to be in active denial about it. And when it occurs, so many people will be in active denial about having been forewarned by these politicos some months out, even down to the day, perhaps. So
well, we remember Biden's words as well. Here they are. I'll just, for those of you who don't remember, mark my words, Biden said in San Francisco.
We've got to gird our loins. What really got me about Biden's speech, actually it was up here in the Northwest, in Tacoma. It was at a private, or Seattle-Tacoma area. I had a private fundraising deal before the election. But what got me about his speech was we had no sooner, I think a few weeks before then, come out with our language for entering into an epic period here. And look at the content of that particular speech. All these allusions to archetypical epic language in a bespoke fashion, in the sense that he's saying, gird your loins.
Yeah, that was a real strange thing to come out.
Yeah, they don't usually speak that way. So what was that to convey?
Yeah, don't know. Biden said, mark my words, it will not be 6 months before the world tests Barack Obama like they did John Kennedy. Watch. We're going to have an international crisis, a generated crisis, to test the mettle of this guy. There's another word, Clif, mettle. You don't hear that very often either. All right, back in just a couple. Okay, welcome back. So again, just to repeat the obvious, which I've stated many times, Clif, I, and George Ura have forecast some extraordinary things with incredible accuracy. And I certainly do remember their forecast of the change of leadership in Pakistan, Musharraf leaving. They were off by 1 day. That's not off at all. They were right on. There are other areas of interest in their work. Certainly the Terra, or Earth and Earth changes issues, are extraordinarily important. Now, if I might, let me just read one. Do I have permission to read one paragraph from Part 4? This is entitled Terra, Flaky Crust, Glazed Stairs, Potable Portage. The data sets associated with twin earthquakes continues to grow. The newly supporting sets are within the aspect attribute of sets of pulsating motion and rippling ground, and motion of sound in ground. Now I'm going to go back